guys, and welcome back to Six Side Calcio. Today is just me, as Danny, Joe, and Enzo all had stuff to do, but we wanted to make sure we got the podcast out for you guys to recap MatchDay 28 and look into MatchDay 29 for you guys. We also got some transfer saga drama over here that I'll be going into extensive detail for you, as you probably already know what's happening. And let's just get started into it. So first off, I want to start off with the Matchday 28 games. Very entertaining match day, if you ask me. You started off with Juventus versus Lecce, a big 4-0 win, which in my opinion was a fake 4-0 win. I think Juventus played very well against Lecce, but we couldn't break the deadlock until the second half. We almost got that goal early on the 31st minute with Bentancur making an amazing run. Unfortunately, got clipped, and last man and Lucioni got sent off at the 31st minute. I think that was the icing on the cake for us. But then we broke through with an amazing Dybala goal and a Ronaldo header. I just want people to know here, I don't like these, every time Ronaldo scores, that 100 accounts have to make him to seem like he's the savior of Juventus. A goal is a goal at the end of the day, but people can't have to remember that he scored. He missed two wide open headers that could have been goals. Bernardeschi missed a goal off the line, and you know what? This is what I like to see here. The fact that we won 4-0 and we still missed key chances, we had to brush up on still. Could have been 7-0, could have been 8, but that's how soccer works. It always could have been, would have been, should have been. So it is what it is. But that goal from Higuain and De Ligt, that header, it was just the icing on the cake for us. In terms of Lecce, they just really played like every Serie A team against Juventus. They didn't really go for the win. They just kind of went for the draw and kind of just tried to defend as much as they could. Eventually, they got too tired. They had one last man down, and Juventus just were playing it like it was a training match, and eventually got the win that they deserved. In terms of the way Juventus function, when Aaron Ramsey comes onto the pitch, I feel more confident as the team. We flow the ball up nicely. Horrible game for Bernardeschi. Really didn't do anything much. See, that game against Bologna, it was fantastic. This game, he was back to his old self. I see, which is a shame because I really like Bernardeschi. Really want him to do well at Juventus, and I do think he does well with Ronaldo and Dybala. Just his technique just isn't just quite there yet, and hopefully working more with Sarri, he tends to get the idea and how the play style works. But if he can't, he's going to be back to the bench for next season, which is not something I want to see, as I want to see especially him, a young Italian, thrive at Juventus, as we don't have much of those. But getting into it, we have the next game up at Brescia-Genoa, which I thought Genoa was going to win. Now, obviously, I really like Genoa as a team. I really don't want to see them in Serie B. I like Mattia Perin and Stefano Sturaro especially. And I just think everyone wrote Genoa off because of the horrible season they're having. It was a very even game between Brescia and Genoa. They moved the ball really well. Obviously, Brescia scared the Genoa fans a bit with early 2-0 lead in the 13th minute with the Alfredo Donnarumma and Semprini with the goals, and everyone wrote Genoa off, it seems. But I had confidence in Genoa, and sure enough, they scored with Falque in the 38th and Pinamonti in the 70th minute to get a 2-2 draw. And it's just always nice to see another disaster class for Sandro Tonali, if you ask me. And I just don't see the spectacular in this kid. Obviously, he's young. He needs to develop. His first season in Serie A, but this is realistically his first real season. I can't go off on a Serie B season saying that this guy's class and that he should be on Inter and he should be on Juventus. But for me, I guess we'll have to see. Maybe there's some players who play better with better players around him, and there's some players who thrive better on their own. I guess Tonali, we have to see if he goes to Inter or Juventus, if he's better, with champions around him, or if he's better on his own. And right now, he's not proving anything to me on Brescia, and that's it. But in terms of game-wise, this was a really entertaining game, really back and forth, a lot of fouls, a lot of cards. I think it was like seven yellow cards in total. It was 6, my bad. 6 yellow cards in total. So it's a very rough soccer match, which you like to see. You like to see the action. You like to see a little roughness from the players. Moving on, Cagliari-Torino. This was another very entertaining game. Goal fest, 6 goals between the piece. Again, Cagliari just came out running with two goals in the opening 20 minutes. Nendes in the 12th and Simeone in the 17th. And then Nangolan at the 46th minute. And everyone's just like, okay, Torino, it's over. Belotti's really not doing much at this time. He's trying to score, but he hasn't really had any chances at this time. And then out of nowhere in the 60th minute, Breme scored. And then Belotti at the 65th. So everyone's like, oh, Torino comeback. You never know. 1 goal down. And then João Pedro just put all the doubters to sleep and really ended the game. But a very back and forth game. And it could have been anyone's game. If Torino was just a little more efficient at the net, they could have walked away with a draw or even a win. But it wasn't their game at the end of the day. And now I'm going into a very controversial game, Lazio-Fiorentina. And it started off, obviously, me wanting Fiorentina to win, as I don't want Lazio breathing down Juve's necks over here. Frank Ribéry comes out banging in the 25th minute with a wonderful strike. Something you love to see. Had some time off with the virus, and now he's thriving. He's a new man, Ribéry. He was doing a lot of really good things. And then this is where it started to get a little controversial. 67th minute, Immobile scored a penalty. What else is new? But the way the penalty happened, Caicedo, he was already on the floor but before the keeper touched him. And with the referee there and the VAR and checking the monitors, this system needs to have like a definite yes or no. I think it needs to be like NBA, where they the coaches each get a decision, like one decision before the thing, and maybe you just say like, oh, you lose a substitution if it's not overturned. I think that this system it works really good in the NBA. If you think that the ref should have a look at the monitor, you call coach's decision, and the ref is forced to go look at the monitor for that play, the VAR monitor, and he is the ultimate decider. So if he says, okay, you know what, I was wrong, it's not a penalty, good job. Or if he's like, well, you know what, I still think that's a penalty, and you lose a substitute. I think that's the way it should work. But the city will have to implement it. Obviously, I don't think they will. I think we have to wait because Serie doesn't like doing things on their own. They have to wait till the Premier League and all the other leagues do this. So I really think it's a good idea. But for now, we have to do what we're told and do what's right. And for me, that wasn't a penalty. But of course, since it's Lazio, it doesn't get the front news headliners when Ronaldo dives in the box or Dybala dives in the box and they get a controversial penalty. It's always on the front newspapers in Italy, and we always get stick for it. But when Lazio players do it, we have no word. I've seen no one complaining about it. All the Lazio fans are cheering like they won the World Cup, even though they shouldn't have won that game. And then Luis Alberto, fair play to him with a good strike in the 82nd minute to win the game. I just think I just think the momentum was all lost after that penalty. Fiorentina players felt like they got robbed, and which they did. I feel for Fiorentina. I think they should have got the win. I don't think Lazio was on the game. And it's funny because I said in an earlier podcast, if you guys remember, that teams are going to start slipping. There's a lot of games, not a lot of rest times. It's not like one game a week. It's like one game every 3-4 days. So the players need to be fit. They need to be recovered easily. And if they're not, the coaches and the teams, they need to have the necessarily substitutes to fill in for the players. And no shots at Lazio or the smaller teams, but they don't really have the depth that a team like Juventus has, where they could just keep going and going with different players, because you need certain key players like Luis Alberto, like Ciro Immobile, like Milinkovic-Savic, where if one of those players get knocked and they need to miss a game or two, it's going to be really, really, really unfortunate for those kinds of teams. So I just think this is the start of Lazio's dipping point. They haven't been looking too good. Obviously, that loss against Atalanta, and now should have been lost for Fiorentina, but they did scrape away with the victory. They have Torino coming up, which I'm going to get into soon, but it's not looking good for Lazio. For me, they didn't dominate against Fiorentina. Fiorentina was really pressing the ball onto them, getting shots on, really dominating the game until that penalty, and then that was the momentum shift for Lazio. And then after that, Lazio just did what they normally did. But I didn't sit down and say, wow, Lazio really deserved to win that game, because I just didn't see it. I think the players are tired. And a lot of the games in these matches, I'm going to say the same thing over and over again, that the players are starting to get tired. If we skip over to Inter Parma, which was the most recent game, another win where I really wanted Parma to win, and Gervinho missed a chance early on, and I was getting so mad. I'm like, come on, Gervinho, you got to finish that, come on. And then he got, shortly after, he got the goal. So I was celebrating, I was happy. And then it was very back and forth. Again, I think the Inter players were just getting tired, more so than just them getting outplayed by Parma. Parma's a very good team. I said it from the start that I have high hopes from them. I said they were going to come in 9th place in the Serie A. They could come better, they could come worse, but I think they're holding strong. A very narrow win for Inter here in 2-1. And I just think, me personally, that Parma played very well. They really held their own against Inter in their home stadium. Parma's defense fell asleep in the last 10 minutes, with Di Vrai scoring in the 84th off of a header, and Bastoni, which was just a disaster for me. A great goal by Bastoni. I really read the situation well, and it was a great cross by Victor Moses, who again read the situation well. But on Parma's defense, whoever was supposed to be marking Bastoni should hold his head down, really work on his game there, because he left them wide open for a basically free goal. So, but fair play to Inter. They got the 2-1 narrow lead. I just think they didn't play the greatest. I've seen them play better, but again, fatigue has gotten into it. And just a funny stat from the useless facts of the day. Tommaso Brini, Inter's goalkeeper, hasn't played a game, and he has 2 red cards this year. It's pretty funny. He got sent off from the bench for a commotion and whatnot. But it's just a pretty funny stat. If you ask me, I think Inter need to play him if players get injured. Obviously, they're not, because they're still in the title race. They don't want to risk anything. But moving on, we got Atalanta Udinese. And just another back and forth game. I didn't really get to see much of this game, as there was another game going on during this. So I kind of went to go see. I kind of watched the game back. And from what I saw, Duvan Zapata, 8th minute in, great goal from him. It's just a very back and forth game between Udinese and Atalanta. Lasagna scoring the 31st minute. Then the substitute of the year, if you ask me, from all of Europe, Luis Muriel. Every time the guy comes off the bench, he has to score a spectacular goal, and that's what he did. He came in to make sure Atalanta got that victory, scoring the 71st and the 79th minute. Lasagna scored in the 87th, trying to salvage a draw, but it just wasn't enough. There wasn't enough time for Udinese, but a very entertaining game. And Atalanta needed that win to stay in the top 4 and even challenge for top 3 if they continue the hot streak that they're on. Moving on, we got Sassuolo Hellas Verona, which, if you asked me at the beginning of the season who I think is going to win between Sassuolo and Hellas Verona, I tell you Sassuolo. But the way Verona has been playing this season, a very top contender. They're fighting with that place for Napoli, and it's just a wonderful team. And I feel bad for the Verona fans, as they got robbed. Looking back at the game, they came out banging in the 51st minute with Lazovic getting the first goal of the game. Very entertaining back and forth game, but Boga came right back after 53rd minute, right off the touch. It was incredible. And then 57th minute, Stepinski. And I was just, at that time, I'm like, wow, this is going to be a goal fest. I can't wait. Now I'm waiting. After the first half, which was a little back and forth, but not that much entertaining. After the first goal, the floodgates were open and the teams were pressing it. It was such an entertaining game as an outsider to watch. I bet the Verona and Sassuolo fans were biting their nails as watching this, as it was goal after goal after goal. And then Pessina, there was a little downtime. Pessina scored at the 68th minute. And then this is where it got interesting. It looked like they were going to win the game, but then Boga scored in the 77th, and that's where the Verona fans were starting to bite their nails. The Sassuolo fans were cheering louder than ever. And then Ruggiero in the 97th minute to get that draw, very emotional draw for Sassuolo. Verona fans, I feel for you. I feel bad for Verona. I feel like they could have won the game if they were just a little better defensively. But that's how soccer works. That's how the game works. And a great job by Sassuolo. Atalanta Atalanta Udinese I talked about, and that's match day 28. I just want to recap over here. Bologna, Sampdoria. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I missed this game completely. But from what I've seen, Orsolini scored, which is always good, a young Italian. Fellow Juventino over here, Orsolini. I really love the kid. Musabero. Very, very late scoring. 72nd and the 74th minute. Very late in the game. And then Sampdoria tried to get one back in the 88th minute, but just couldn't be successful with the win. Napoli, Spal. I just want to say, Milan fans, I feel for you. I feel bad for Milan. Obviously, they won against Roma, which I'm going to get into. But I just feel like sacking Gattuso, Milan fans are going to regret. Because ever since Gattuso came to Napoli, Napoli's been a different level. And it's going to be interesting to see how Gattuso goes on next season. And a lot of Napoli fans have been saying if Gattuso came from the start of the season, Napoli could be contending for Scudetto. Very hot take, but they've done well. They've beat Inter in the Coppa Italia. They've beat Juventus in the Coppa Italia final. They're on a winning hot streak. They're really doing well. They're playing well, not just winning games. They're winning games in style. It started off with Mertens in the 4th minute, and then Petagna 29th minute, which is a Napoli player, so it's pretty funny. Really interesting to see why Spal played him. I guess it's the best player you kind of forced to. But Petagna scoring against his future employers over there. And then Calcio just scores, and Danny was... I was texting Danny during the game, and he was shocked. He's not the biggest fan of Calcio. Obviously loves him as a person, but as a player, I think it's time for him to go. But this game, he just looked like a rejuvenated man. He looked like a better player. And then, Younes scores, which is always nice to see because he hasn't really done much for Napoli, but he did score to solidify the win for Napoli. Spal, on the other hand, they didn't play well. They did what they could against Napoli, who's on the hot streak. Obviously, their only goal scorer was a Napoli player, so it was pretty interesting to see there. And then Milan-Roma, Enzo's not going to be happy about this one. He wasn't happy. I couldn't contact him for hours after the game. But I just think Fonseca's failing to find a balance in the Roma team. When I saw the lineup, I texted Enzo how he feels, and he says we have to see how they play. Zappacosta, the guy was supposed to be ruled out. He was sent back to Chelsea after he got that horrific injury earlier on in the season. And then after this whole COVID thing, Chelsea said you guys could have him for the rest of the season. It's fine. He just didn't play as expected by Roma fans. Spinazzola just wasn't what he was at Juve. I don't know what happened to him. I think the injuries, I don't know what it was. But Vertut was really good. He was a really solid player. Pellegrini, Enzo knows what I'm going to say here. Enzo always says Pellegrini's playing golf. He can't do anything when the ball's moving. He needs the ball stationary to make a good pass. And if he needs that, he needs to go to La Liga. After you're going to hear what I'm going to say about Arthur Melo in a couple of minutes. But Pellegrini, he's a great passer on the ball, but he needs the ball stationary. And Mkhitaryan just looked a little off. Dzeko just was a bit off. And I just think it's more of not the players being in form. I think it's more of the players being tired and fatigued, especially at a team like Roma. Dzeko, he's really the main guy at Roma. You're not going to really start Nicolo Kalinic. I mean, you could, but Dzeko's your main scorer. And poor Eden, he needs a solid backup so he could get some rest in. Even before COVID, he didn't have much rest for the Roma season, and even after COVID, it looks like he's not having much rest. So it's really shame. I just think it's more of him being fatigued than him being on poor form lately. But fair play to Milan. They got the win with Rebic and Calhanoglu scoring the Calhanoglu penalty by a Smalling tackle, and the Rebic goal, which was disaster by Zappacosta, who just passed right to him. But at the end of the day, it was a great win by Milan. Milan really needed that win to start getting back on the high horse that they need to start revamping. And it was just a bad loss for Roma, who were trying to get top 4, and it's going to be harder than ever to get that top 4 Champions League spot if they want it. So that's all the games for match day 28. And I just want to run you through the table. Juventus is first with 69 points. Lazio is second, 4 points behind with 65. Inter is third with 61 points. So Juventus has some breathing room from first to third. But Lazio with 4 points, it just really hurts me, as I think Fiorentina should have won that game. And wherever you're watching, whether it be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, just leave a comment if you can, or even message us on Twitter or Instagram, any of our socials, and just let us know if you think that was a penalty by Caicedo, and if not, what the problem was with the VAR staff and the referee, if there's a miscommunication or what happened there. But Roma is fifth place, and it's Napoli are 3 points behind Roma, so it's not looking good for them. Atalanta's 57 points in fourth place, so they could challenge for top 3 spot if they really wanted to. If the form they're on, I think it could happen. And Roma is just with Milan breathing down Napoli's neck and Roma's neck, respectively. It's weird to see. Parma's breathing down Milan's neck for a 7th place finish, where I thought they were going to finish 9th place. It's a very close race with from 7th to 10th place. It could be anyone's ball race. And then in the relegation battle, you got Spal and Brescia are pretty much finished for the season, if you ask me. And then you have a very, very close relegation race between Lecce, Samp, Genoa, Udinese, even you could argue Torino and Fiorentina, but they have a little more breathing room for the relegation. Moving on, we're going to talk about Matchday 29, upcoming games for it. Really interesting game. First off, we're starting off, first game on Matchday 29, Torino-Lazio. I personally think Torino is going to take this. I think Lazio is a better team than Torino. I think they've been playing better than Torino. But after watching that Fiorentina disaster class, I think Lazio players are starting to get tired. I think Inzaghi is starting to use more backup players than starters. And I think the players just aren't getting fully rested and recovered as they should be. So I think Torino, they have nothing to lose. They're not really in anything. They're not really trying for anything. Lazio have the desire, they have more hunger to win the game because they really want to be pushing Juventus for the Scudetto. But I think, it is in Torino. I mean, there's no fans, but the atmosphere is just different in a different city. I think Torino is going to draw against Lazio. I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. And I think I would want Torino to win, but I think they're going to get the draw. Then you got Juventus, Genoa. I'm really looking forward to this game. Obviously, seeing Mattia Perin turn into prime Buffon against us for old time's sake. And Stefano Sturaro, I really hope he scores. A lot of people think he's a meme, he's a joke. But to me, he was a really good midfielder at Juventus. I just think under Allegri, you could only do so much. I think under Sarri, he would thrive as a rotational player. I'd happily get rid of Adriano Rabiot and have him as a rotational player, playing alongside Ramsey and Bentancur. I think that'd be a really great ball-moving midfield. I really love Sturaro. I think he's just a great rotational player, knows his role. He does good. He's basically a part-time model, too, when it comes to the New Jersey sales. So I think he's a really solid player. And you could see for Genoa, when he started to play for Genoa, he got injured. He hasn't played much this season. But when he has played, they've either won or drawn. He's just incredible, moves the ball well in the midfield. And last time we faced Genoa, he scored that banger against us, and everyone was shocked. But I don't understand. Allegri played him right back more than center mid. So how's he supposed to score a goal from right back? But anyway, I think this is going to be a very interesting game. Hopefully Juventus could get the win. I think we can. I just hope Ronaldo gets some rest because he's been playing a lot. Bonucci's been playing a lot. I think we need to be starting to rest. I think we're at the stage now we have to rest our players. Cuadrado, Bonucci, Ronaldo, De Ligt, they've been playing so many games and they just haven't had the rest. And if we want to go far in the Scudetto race and we want to go far in Champions League, we have to start taking precautions now. We have to start resting players against the smaller teams. Genoa's fighting for relegation. I don't think we need Cristiano Ronaldo, Bonucci, Cuadrado. I don't think we know all those players. Obviously, we have some injuries already, so Cuadrado's kind of forced to play because of Danilo. De Sciglio's injured. Sandro's injured, so obviously Cuadrado's kind of forced to play. With the center backs, if Chiellini's fit enough, I would love to see him play instead of Bonucci. I think Bonucci needs much deserved rest. Ronaldo, I think I think Sadi needs to grow some balls and tell him, listen, I know you want to play. I know that's a good thing that you want to play, but you need some rest. You need to be fully rested, fully recovered, because as the game's going on, yeah, he's still scoring. Cool. He scored penalties. Big deal. Like, he's been missing chance after chance now. I think you could just see his position. He's not making the runs like he was 4 or 5 games ago. You could see he's tired. Maybe you can't see he's physically tired, but mentally he's tired. He's not really thinking straight when he's playing. Obviously, against my bad, against the team, he's two open headers, and he just skied them. It's not something Ronaldo would usually do, and I just think mentally he's tired. Physically, he might be tired. He might not show up, but he's tired. He needs a rest against a team like this Genoa. I think we could win without him. We could win with him, but we could also win without him. Start someone else. Maybe start Bernardeschi, Costa, Dybala up top, or even if Higuain's match fit, I would love to see Higuain start. Obviously, I think if he starts with Bernardeschi and Costa, I think that could be the lineup we should be going for. Give the players some much-needed rest. But I think Juventus is going to win this game 3-1. I just think it's going to be a dominant performance from Juventus. I think Genoa is going to play similar to the other teams, similar to Lecce, similar to Bologna, where they just kind of park the bus and kind of just hope for a counterattack football. And I think Juventus is going to start playing possession in their half, which is something we should do more and more often, and then eventually break the deadlock with the goal. I think we're going to win 3-1. I'm going to go into speed rounds, as these aren't really interesting games here until Thursday. But on Wednesday, we got Bologna, Cagliari. I think Cagliari's the hot team here. I'm going to go on a hot take. I think they're going to win 3-0. You got Inter Brescia. I really want Brescia to win, but I think Inter's winning 3-0. Fiorentina, Sassuolo. This is a really intense, interesting game. I think it's going to be 4-2 Fiorentina. Lecce, Sampdoria. I think Sampdoria is going to I think it's going to be a draw 2-2. Verona, Parma. Verona's been on a hot streak, so has Parma. I think it's going to be a 3-2 to Verona, I would say. I really like Parma, but I think with Verona being home, I think they got the slight edge. I think 3-2 Verona. Spal, Milan. I think Milan's going to take this 1-0. Then Thursday, this is, in my opinion, the game of the match day. Atalanta-Napoli, very interesting game. Obviously, I really don't care who wins. The Atalanta's not really threatening for the Scudetto. Napoli's not threatening for the Scudetto. They're trying to come up for a Europa League spot. Atalanta's pushing for top 3. I think Atalanta's home in Bergamo. Gattuso's men's been on fire, but I think that fire is going to be extinguished by Gasperini's men. I think it's going to be 3-1 Atalanta. And Roma, Udinese, I think Fonseca's men are gonna wake up. They're gonna have their heads held high after that Milan loss. I think they're gonna really wake up and they're gonna win this game 2-0. Obviously, Enzo's very excited for this game as there's no Pellegrini. He's not the biggest fan of him, so I think it's gonna be interesting to see how the Roma midfield will do without Pellegrini, as he seems to be one of Roma's key players this season. He's been playing almost every game. Obviously, Enzo wouldn't say he's a key player, but he's a key player in Fonseca's eyes. He's been playing almost every game, like I just said. And I think Roma's going to take this 2-0 without Pellegrini. So that was match day 29. Now I just want to go into a little rant about Arthur Melo. As you guys all know, Pjanic, it was official this morning that Pjanic completed his medical and joined Barcelona. And Arthur, however you say his name, came to Juventus. I just don't agree with his transfer. I think Juventus, I went on Twitter to see how fans on both parties are reacting, and Barcelona fans are saying Bartomeu out, as they think Pjanic, an old man in their eyes, 30 years old, going to Barcelona, and they're giving up a 23 young Brazilian promising midfielder, which Messi said could be one of the best midfielders in the world. So obviously, when you have Messi saying that about a player, when you have Barca executives saying that about a player, I was really excited to see him. But then you kind of put 2 and 2 together here. From the start, he never wanted to join Juventus. He said, I know in stories, he said we're kind of like a retirement club. He'd happily come to us, but when he's a bit older right now, he wants to play for Barca, which is understandable. I just think the climate in Italy and Spain are around the same. The winning mentality and winning atmosphere between Juventus and Barcelona are the same. They're both, in my opinion, top 5 clubs in the world. what else is there a difference of he's playing with some of the greatest players to ever play the game. He's played with Messi. Now he's playing with Ronaldo. I don't see obviously you want to play with Messi, but again, if he's a really great midfielder, I think Ronaldo's a better finisher than Messi. So in that aspect, you have more Brazilians playing at Juventus than you do at Barcelona. So I think that could really help him if he's feeling any homesick or anything like that. He has the fellow Brazilians with Alexandro, Douglas Costa, Danilo, who I hope is gone by then, but I doubt he will be. But like I said, he's surrounded by a lot of Brazilians, more so at Juventus than at Barcelona, so I don't see why he doesn't want to come. But understandably, he was a young kid who played for Grêmio, the biggest team in Brazil. I would assume he admired Neymar, and that's why he loves Barcelona so much, as Neymar is a big deal in Brazil, worldwide, a global phenomenon for the Brazilians. So I just don't think I understand his frustration of him getting forced out of the club after a season, and this would have been his second season completed. So give him the benefit of the doubt. He's been at 2 seasons at Barcelona, and they forced him out, which is a little suspicious to me. If I'm him, I'd be frustrated too. You like the city, you like the team, you like the players, you have friendships. I understand that he's frustrated at the club, but at the same time, he's a professional soccer player. He can't be taking it out on Juventus and the team that wants him, because it's clear Barca didn't want him after he couldn't even complete 2 seasons before they forced him out, and they're calling him a future best player, best midfielder of the world. I think if he's going to be the best midfielder in the world, I don't think Barca would have sold him, especially for Miralem Pjanic. Well, it was 2 separate transfers. It was around, I think, 80 million or 77 million. If you guys could correct me on that, just let me know. And then we sold Pjanic for around 60 million. So it was 2 separate transactions to try to balance the bucks between Juventus and Barcelona. But he's definitely, it's never good. And I was talking to Enzo earlier before I started recording. It's never good to get someone at the club who doesn't want to be there, because just their attitude is very toxic towards the team and the players, and their play style, it kind of hinders a bit. And we've seen that with Adrian Rabiot. I remember when we signed Rabiot, I wasn't the happiest guy. If you told me a couple of years ago we're going to sign Rabiot, I'd be really excited, really happy about him, a young, promising French midfielder. But as of last season, since 2018, when he had that whole debacle with the World Cup, and him thinking he's too big for the national team, as he didn't want to be on the reserves, he didn't want to be on the bench, he wanted to start, or he didn't want to come. It just shows the attitude these young players are starting to have, and you could really see down with the money and the fame. If you give half these players a wage cut, you would see that their love for the sport would die. And I would say the same thing for Arthur Melo. I think if you tell Aaron Ramsey that, listen, if we're not gonna pay you to play soccer. And I think a player like Ramsey, a player like Chiellini, a player like Buffon would say, listen, this is the sport I love, this is the sport I die for, I'll still play for you guys. But if you tell a player like Adrian Rabiot or Arthur Melo, in my opinion, I think they'll be walking away from soccer and saying, you know what, I'll find something else to do. I just don't think they have that passion for the sport like other players do. And I think they're only in it for the money and the fame and the rich lifestyle that they sought out for. But anyway, when people they were really happy about Rabiot. He was a young French promising midfielder, and now look at him, he's barely starting games for us. And when he does start games or it comes off the bench, I haven't seen anything spectacular from him. He's just been off this season. I really want him gone. But as even a rotational player, I think Stefano Sturato's better, in all honesty. With Arthur Melo, he's going to be a starter. I would view him as a starter. I think if there is an ICC tournament this year, I would really be looking forward to that, seeing how Arthur plays. I've watched a couple games of him at Barca, and what I've seen, he doesn't do anything spectacular. He passes the ball backwards, similar to what Pjanic does. And when he does move up with the attack, he kind of passes 2 meters apart. He doesn't really doesn't do anything fancy, doesn't do anything spectacular. He doesn't do any long ball passes or through ball passes. I think Bonucci attempts more than him. But I can't really judge him based on the La Liga. No shots at La Liga, but I feel like in La Liga, from what I've watched, the defense doesn't attack the midfield. They don't have any need to. They wait for the midfield. They give them all the time in the world to make a pass to the attackers, and that's when they start pressing on the attackers, because they're confident that the midfield's not going to score the goals. They're going to have the Messis and the Suarez's and the Dembele score the goals. Not really. You don't really think, oh, watch Arthur Melo, he's going to score a goal, or watch Sergio Busquets, he's going to score a goal. They think, oh, he's just going to pass to the attacker, so just wait up. But in Serie A, it's the opposite. Serie A, they really high press on the midfielders. If Bonucci has the ball for too long, they'll even start pressing Bonucci. So I think he's not going to have as much time as he did in La Liga, so that's what scares me the most. In terms of Pjanic, I'm not going to say I'm happy he's gone. Obviously, I am. I just don't think he lived up to the hype that he was at Roma. He never really showed his Roma true form. There wasn't one Juventus game I watched and said, wow, Pjanic was incredible that game. Maybe a few games where he was really good and made a lot of good passes and plays and scored a couple good free kicks. But all in all, he just wasn't working out in our system. We had him in a Allegri system and he didn't work out. We had him in Sarri's system and he just didn't work out. So it's time to say goodbye to him. He's going to be at Barca. I think he's going to be really good at Barca. Like I said with Arthur, he has a lot of space in La Liga. They're not going to attack him, so he has more time to make that pass that he wants and the pass that I know he could. But now that rant's over, I just hope Arthur Melo succeeds. I mean, I saw Pjanic earlier on Instagram, and he made a video saying Forza Barca. And when Arthur Melo posted, it wasn't even a video of him saying Forza Juve, which in my opinion takes 2 seconds to do. He just said he's happy for the offer Juventus made him. He couldn't even say he's happy to join the team. He couldn't even say Forza Juve, which I just think is unprofessional. I think it's kid-like. He thinks he's bigger than the team already. But anyway, I just hope the best for him. I hope he proves me wrong at Juventus. I really do. But as of right now, I'm not too fond of the signing. Because at least with Rabiot, he was free. It was kind of a win-win situation. If he wasn't working out, we would just sell him for 20-25 million to another team. And if he did work out, we got a really good free transfer. But with Arthur, we bought him for 70 million. So if he doesn't work out, we just wasted 70 million euros where we could have spent a little more extra for a Milinkovic-Savic or a Pogba. But hopefully this Mercato's not done for Juventus. Hopefully we get a player like Ricardo Pereira. I think Pogba's out of the books now with this after Arthur coming, but hopefully another midfielder, maybe a rotational player to come in, slot in. But I think that's everything today for the podcast. Just want to give a quick shout out to Benevento, who I think is going to be coming to Serie A next season. I think it's almost confirmed that they're in Serie A. But they just signed Lois Remy, so that's going to be interesting. They're making signings because last time it was horrendous season when they were in Serie A. Now when they come back, they want to make sure they stay up in Serie A. They don't want to go back to Serie B, it looks like. They're making that signings. But anyway, it's been fun talking. I'll see you guys on the next podcast, and ciao.